Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 323. I am your host, Reid Murphy.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Look at the show. I'm the captain.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Fuck Scott.
Good morning and welcome. Happy Saturday, college football fans. Welcome to College Jam Day presented by the 323 Network. I am your host, Scott Ellia, and I am joined today by the one, the only Reid Murphy. And Reid, it looks like all the technical blunders are gone. You can hear me, correct?
I can hear you. I'm here to let you know that I can hear you.
Perfect. Hey, we did it. We did it.
We have a functioning podcast.
There we go. You know, I need to get the fanfare button loaded up on my soundboard on this side for this show. But hey, I digress. But yes, folks, we are back for week 12 in college football. Took the last 2 weeks off. One for I was sick, Reid. I think I had the vid or some kind of flu-like symptoms was floating around. So that was fun. Didn't want to have a Michael Jordan flu game. I wasn't up for it. I'm not a man like he is. And then last week, folks, we missed another week because I look great, according to Reid, for the recording. But apparently the audio wasn't working for the whole 30, 40-minute episode. I was at my desk just talking to myself for 40 minutes.
But you look great doing it. And I was like, when I saw the download come up, it said 26 minutes. I was like, oh, this man is so efficient. This is beautiful. And I get to it. I'm on Premiere Pro, and you can see the video, and then like it shows you the little audio symbols on the bottom, and it's just you get the whole intro, and then a just flat line for the rest of the show until the wheel. And I thought, I was like, maybe I should just put this out, just the intro, and then just the wheel sounds. 24 minutes.
Put it behind a paywall. Put it on the Patreon.
Yeah,
that'd be Reid. Go to Patreon. Make sure to support us, folks.
Get your money's worth.
Right. I mean, and if anything, your money's worth can potentially get you landed your own show at the 323 Network, like some other people here have done for the last 3 years. But hey, it is what it is. But one thing that's not flatlining, Reid, is this college football season. It is nearing the end. We only got maybe about 3 or 4 weeks until we get into bowl season. So there's no better topic to discuss right now until we get into the slate of games for week 12 than college football playoff talk. Because as of right now, Reid, it looks like the first round buys, if it were to end now, would be Oregon, Texas, BYU. So congratulations. And Miami. So congratulations again. I believe 2 of those 4 were the ones that you called in the preseason show between Oregon and Miami. So congrats. I shit the bed this year outside of Oregon. Other than those first round buys, you know, who would make up that first round? At this point, you'd have Notre Dame playing Tennessee at Tennessee. You'd have Boise State traveling to Ohio State, Ole Miss playing Penn State, and Alabama at Indiana. What a crazy game that would be. Alabama and Indiana. I would be on the edge of my seat.
That's our national championship right there.
Can we just call Indiana being the national champion right now? Like kind of like how UCF called it. They're the de facto champion.
Let's do it. Indiana is our UCF, but a stronger UCF.
I'm all for it. Now, Reid, like rattling off those teams, is there like aside from I guess Indiana, I think nobody really thought they would amount to much at the beginning of the season. But are there any big surprises to you? Maybe one of these teams that are missing out on the first round bye, or a team that got that first round bye that you weren't really anticipating?
BYU being in the first round bye, not to bring up BYU every single time, but BYU being in the first round bye was kind of a pleasant surprise to me. But honestly, no, I didn't have too many surprises from this, and I'm not really expecting to see it shift. Maybe not shift. This shit has been very unpredictable this year, but I'm not expecting to see it change too drastically. I'd be a little more surprised if somebody all of a sudden makes a sudden charge. I could see the first round buys possibly changing, if things go a little south for one of these, one of those 4 teams. But overall, I was kind of pleasantly happy with it.
Yeah, and I think this group that we kind of just rattled off, the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I could do math right, Reid. This core 12 is probably going to be probably 8 to 9 of these teams you'll see in the college football playoff. But Reid, I will give you a team per Power 4 conference with one extra that I'll give you to kind of keep an eye on that could play spoiler to one of the teams we've already mentioned and make a push for their respective conference championship games. SEC, you can't talk about SEC football, Reid, without Georgia. Let's just get this one out the way. But for them, they have a must-win game this week against Tennessee. They're on the road. I believe they're on the road in Tennessee. No, they're at home with Tennessee. I apologize, folks. But they are at home against Tennessee. So, I mean, if they lose that game, they're pretty much done. There's no coming back from that. But if they do end up winning that game, thankfully, the last 2 games on their docket for the season, it's UMass and Georgia at home to finish the season. So this is looks like to be their final hurdle to potentially make an SEC championship bid with how crazy that conference has been getting. I mean, there's a lingering around all through the Twitter sphere and internet right now. So I don't want to dive too much deeper into that because ESPN has their flag planted firmly into the SEC network officially. As far as the ACC read goes, it's not over yet. I mean, I think we both kind of figured Miami was running away with this, but it looks like some of these teams are making a surprise run. You know, you got Pitt up there. But right now, I keep an eye on SMU. They could give Miami a run for their money if they end up playing each other in the ACC championship game. I think this past week, it's just the inevitable happened with Miami. They've been getting exposed a lot. Their defense is not holding teams to respectable levels. They're putting up a lot of points on them. Thankfully, they have, you know, the Heisman hopeful Cam Ward under center in Miami, but I could see a team like SMU giving them a little bit of a headache. And then for them, for the rest of the season after that, they got Boston College at home. Then they're on the road in Charlottesville against UVA, and then at home against Cal. So another one of those teams where, you know, you went out and you ride that high of a 3-game winning streak going to the ACC championship game. I mean, I'd be very worried if I was a Miami fan at that point.
Well, yeah, and also you brought up, the hopes and, being able to keep your hopes tied to the Heisman hopeful and Cam Ward. But I think we've seen this season that you're going to live and die by Cam Ward too. Like the dude and you could probably correct me better on it, but he reminds me a lot of Anthony Richardson at Florida, where like there is all the talent in the world with the guy. He makes huge college plays. He plays like a pro player. He plays like a pro amongst college players. But you're going to get maybe not 4 turnovers a game, but 4 turnover-worthy plays and 4 turnover-worthy throws out of Cam Ward a game. It's just depending on whether that defense can actually seal the deal in the moment and make something out of it. So I think that is going to be Miami's downfall no matter what. They'll still be, a huge playoff team, but I don't really see them advancing too far because I just can't trust Cam Ward in any moment, not just a big moment. Like the dude is a turnover machine. He's Jameis Winston too. He's going to give you 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, and you're going to love it and you're going to die with it.
Right. I mean, because on the season right now, I mean, he has been playing phenomenal football. I mean, if you just look at the stat line, like you said, I don't think it gives you the total picture because he's amassed just about 3,500 yards to the air, 32 touchdowns, 6 picks. But, there are some very suspect throws that you've seen come out of Cam Ward. And that interception column isn't really showing the total picture, especially when you're going against Georgia Tech, the little brother in the ACC, and you lose by 5 points there. And, that stat line, could it be inflated because he has to play at a high level because the defense can't hold a team like Georgia Tech to, minimal end zone trips? Probably. But
probably. And you also have the Mario Cristobal factor too, which we've talked about several times on the show.
I am still waiting for the Mario Cristobal moment. I'm still waiting for it.
He will give you that game at least once, maybe 2 or 3 times a season, and we haven't hit it yet. So we're getting into that season.
Right. And I mean, if you take a 1,000-foot view at Miami's record thus far in the season, I mean, look at these teams. You're not totally surprised now that we're so far deep into the college football season that they won these games. But some of those games they were very lucky in, like the Virginia Tech game about 5-6 weeks ago, then followed by the Cal game. They won by a point. They only beat Louisville by 7. It looked a little close there against Florida State even until it got down to the wire, and then they decided to go into the end zone. But hey, it is what it is. That's enough Miami talk. And I say that because the next team I'm going to talk about, I really don't want to give too much spotlight because of my own personal qualms in the Big 12, and that is the Colorado Buffalo. What a surprise this season, Reid. After dropping week 2 at Nebraska 28-10, I firmly believe at that point I said Colorado is going to shit the bed for the rest of the season. And they told me to shut up because they haven't lost since. I mean, they for the rest of the season, they have Utah at home, and then they're on the road against Kansas, and they have Oklahoma State at home, which is another one of those teams that I'm very upset about seeing their production this year. But this would make for very fun and ultimately, I guess, a polarizing game for a Big 12 championship. Colorado versus BYU. Could those teams be any more opposite?
Oh my God. That's polar opposite. Coach Prime versus the Stormin' Mormons and BYU. Like that's wild.
Well, and the Big 12 championship game, I believe, where would they be playing that? They'd be playing that in, I guess, Dallas, right? They'd be playing that at AT&T Stadium, I would assume.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what a homecoming that would be for Deion. I mean, that would sell enough tickets just right then and there. You'd have not just Colorado, Buffalo, and BYU fans in there, but you'd have just straight up Deion fans showing up.
Oh yeah, you're
selling that place out.
Shit ton of Cowboys fans coming to see their future head coach.
Well, hopefully they can put a curtain up so we don't have any CD Lamb moments. Big Ten, Reid, no one really. I mean, if you look back to those names we kind of rattled off, they're all Big Ten teams: Indiana, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. I mean, those are pretty much your big contenders that could vie for a Big Ten championship. I mean, other than that, it's just a whole 20 feet of shit in the Big Ten. But one team I really want to highlight that could play spoiler to some of these teams in the American Athletic Conference, Army. They're still unbeaten. They're not getting as much love in the rankings as they should. I actually don't even believe they're in the college football playoff rankings as it is now. No, they are. They're 24th. Yeah. And they're 9-0. But I mean, next week, it's a big game for them next week. They at Notre Dame, and then a win over them. That should propel them up the rankings, right? Or since Notre Dame already dropped one to Northern Illinois, does that win hold as much weight as it should?
If I had to bet, and everything holds up this week for everybody, if Army were to beat Notre Dame next week, I still don't know if it would be enough. I would bet that they put Army at like 13. I just don't see them letting Army in right now. Maybe.
I think the college football playoff committee, they don't want a TCU again. That's the whole reasoning why they justified Florida State not going in. They didn't want some subpar team going in and getting obliterated and not keeping a game close. I mean, would it be great for optics to have Army in the very first college football playoff, expanded playoff? Absolutely. I think that would be great for the country as a whole. I mean, look how the country's going right now, Reid. I mean, just put Army in there. Maybe they could win that first round. Sure, they get beat in the next round, in the second round, but hey, they get the first game.
And there's, if you're looking at it, to be completely honest, are we going to see a better chance for Army to make it into the playoff? Like they haven't had a better chance before this. They're not really going to have another better shot after this. This is their window. This is their window to win something, right?
Let them in.
Let them in.
Put them in, folks. Put them in.
Put them in.
Oh boy, folks. Like I mentioned before at the beginning of the show, this is a very pivotal week for a lot of these teams because it's still not certain. Like, I don't even feel like there's a clear favorite overall this year in college football, Reid. I don't know if I'm crazy for thinking that. I mean, yes, you have Oregon at number 1 overall, They're 10-0. This is their first year in the Big Ten, and they're showing that they can hang with the big boys. But like, do you have a team that's a clear number one, or do you think this is just a year where everyone's on the same playing field and anything could happen?
This is a year where, and I think it's the most fun option that you could possibly have, is where I do truly think that any of these teams here have a shot at winning it. Like, it just seems like the playing field is totally level. Maybe once you get into the playoff, you'll have some of these teams with experience at head coach that can, start to get some type of drive out of their teams that's on another level. I would see that in like a Georgia. I still think that there's enough with Kirby's program that will, drive them going forward here. But or if I had to pick a team right now that's a clear-cut number one, closest you have is Oregon. Oregon looks good on just about every level. Do I trust them just yet? No, but this is the best year. This is the best window of opportunity that they have.
And I want to kind of hone in on something that you said. Anything could happen, right? It's college football.
Right.
We've seen craziness already this year. Like we mentioned earlier, Northern Illinois, they beat Notre Dame earlier on in the season. There's one game this week that I want to kind of highlight as far as one of the games that I'm going to be watching, because folks in the realm of continuous improvement, like we always try to do here at the 323 Network, we're always trying to try new things and kind of experiment on, content to bring to you guys. And one thing that me and Reid always talk about kind of offhand are what are games that we're going to be watching that we didn't talk about. And we always give so much extra time to the game of the week, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But Reid, I want to give you 3 games, one in pretty much every major time slot that I will be watching this week. Starting off at 12 noon, Texas at Arkansas. Number 3 Texas, who are 8-1, 4-1 in the SEC. They're number 3 in the college football playoff. And then you have Arkansas, who are the definition of mid at 5-4 and 3-3 in the SEC. Of course, it's a noon kickoff. Texas is favored by 13.5 points. And not only that, but they lead the series record against Arkansas, 56-23. So, I mean,
you know how this is going to go.
Right.
Unless the odds are just going to, lean one way. I don't know.
Hey, crazier things have happened. I mean, there's a couple of things that are at stake for both teams. I mean, Texas is still vying for that college football playoff berth. A loss could muddy up the waters a little bit for their path to get there. And Arkansas is still seeking that bowl eligibility. A key win over Texas would kind of release that pressure valve there for the Hogs and Coach Sam Pittman. The reason why I want to watch this game, it's Quinn Ewers, Heisman contender. He had 5 touchdowns last week. He's looking like he's going to be one of those top quarterbacks coming out for the draft. I'm interested to see how he's going to go up against Arkansas's pass defense. They're last in the SEC. They're 125th in the FBS. They're allowing over 250 yards passing per game. So if you're going up against such a juicy and just you just want to get your hands on that kind of a matchup, I want to see what he does with that. Is he going to have a shitty game? Is he going to shit the bed? Or is he going to go off when you need him to go off?
I am 100% on that with this whole season of Quinn Ewers. And, as we're still trying, getting towards the NFL draft and everything right now, you want Quinn to step up. And that's 100% why I'm still saying that this is anybody's game here for the championship right now. If Quinn Ewers can step up and be who we've seen him at his highest, you got something in Texas. Texas looked like the easy runaway contender at the start of this season. If they can just get shit together, get their focus straight, this is a great game to actually start to get, we're in the stretch. We're in the home stretch. Let's get an idea of who Quinn Ewers really is.
Absolutely. And I feel like this is, like you said, I think this is the best chance possible because they have wide receiver Isaiah Bond coming back. He's known for his top line speed, returned from injury last week, and really helped that Texas offense find a spark. So I say just let Isaiah feast, and Quinn just needs to air it out and keep the foot on the gas and show them why you are 8th ranked in the Heisman Trophy race right now, Quinn. And if for anything, boost your draft stock a little bit. because Shador is already going to be taking some from you just based off the name alone. So Arkansas, I don't see it, man. I really don't see it this week. I mean, Texas, as far as their ranking goes defensively, they're number 2 nationally in total defense. They've allowed the fewest passing yards in all of college football. They've forced multiple turnovers in 4 consecutive games. So I really feel for Arkansas quarterback Taylon Green. I mean, he is expected to return from a knee injury, but he's only averaging about 250 yards a game, which ranks 3rd within the SEC as far as quarterbacks and rushing yards. I'm very scared. I'm very scared for Arkansas, but hey, if you want to just throw a grenade into the SEC and keep muddy in the waters and making it even crazier down the wire, Arkansas needs to play spoiler. And another team that I really hope that plays spoiler in the SEC, because we're going to go have another SEC matchup here, 2 p.m. Reid, Mercer. That's right. Mercer is the team to watch, traveling to play Alabama. Mercer is 9-1 this season. They're going up against number 9 Alabama Saturday, 2:00. There is no line on the game, Reid. There's no line. Alabama leads the series 4-0. They could do it, right?
This is a full circle moment for the show, because I remember earlier in the season when we were doubting Alabama and looking at their schedule, we're like, Mercer's the game. Mercer is the game that will just that could crush their spine if you needed it to. How I see it happening is about the same way as the Arkansas-Texas game. I bet Mercer gives them a scare in the first quarter, maybe even first half, where at the end of one of those first 2 quarters, it's going to be 13-7 Mercer. And then by the end of the game, it'll be 48 to 24 Alabama.
Right.
Take over.
And you know what's going to happen? ESPN and the College Football Playoff Committee is still not going to hold that against them.
No.
By having an FCS school keep that game that close. But I mean, it's a great FCS school. They rank 10 right now. I mean, they've clinched at least a share of the Southern Conference title and a playoff berth this year, and a win over Furman on the 23rd in 2 weeks could definitely help secure the outright championship for Mercer. And Alabama, they're aiming to stay healthy, provide backups with some game action ahead of some key SEC matchups against Oklahoma and Auburn coming up with them. But for the matchup that I'm watching, it's going to be that Alabama offense versus that Mercer defense. Alabama's led by, true dual threat quarterback Jalen Milroe and the phenom Ryan Williams. I am so excited to see what we have in store for Ryan Williams in his career. I know we gave him his roses a couple weeks ago, but Reid, he hasn't slowed down. No, we should not forget about him and continue. We need to continuously give this kid his roses, because dude's a beast. And like you said, it's just 18. Is he 19 now? Did he finally turn 19 at some point? Or was he 17? No, he was 17. 17. I'm pretty sure he's still 17.
Damn. I mean, it's going to be such a crazy, awesome career. It makes me smile just saying his name.
He's averaging 20 yards a catch, dude. He's got 37 receptions for 730 yards and 7 touchdowns. His longest reception of this year is 84 yards. And this kid is half my age.
Right.
Half my damn age.
And it's you're getting that 20 yards per catch, and it's not all just deep shots or, great deep route running, which he is a pretty good route runner right now. He will get better and better and better as he goes forward. But his rack game, his run after catch game is wild. The dude is hard. He is hard to take down.
Now go.
Difficult.
He's difficult to bring down.
But I mean, you typically see these matchups early on in the season, right? I mean, you have these FBS schools paying the little guy in the FCS. They're paying them a boatload of money to come in earlier in the season and get these teams ready. So it's fairly rare to see an FCS school face off this late into the season. I mean, Northern Illinois, I know we've already talked about them a couple times. Notre Dame paid them over $1 million to play in that game. So they got $1 million. They got the bag and the dub. for that game. And of any FCS school, they didn't pick the worst one. I mean, that defense, it's nothing to shy at this point. They're the leader in run defense and sacks, turnovers, gain, third down defense. So they're going to have a true test ahead of them in Mercer. And I feel they're gonna doubt them. It's gonna get close, and Alabama's just gonna squeak away with a win. But not only that Mercer defense, as far as their player to watch, running back Dwayne McGee, 900 yards rushing this year, 7 touchdowns, a transfer from Lenore Rhine. Reid, have you ever heard of Lenore Rhine before?
I haven't.
That'll be your school to look up for the show. So we'll check it back in with you after we get through the Wheel of Degenerate to figure out who the hell went to Lenore Rhine. And then for Alabama, I'm expecting to see Ty Simpson, former 5-star recruit, quarterback for Alabama, to get some playing time as a potential starter next season. I feel you could see him coming into the game in the second half if it gets away from Mercer. So I'm excited to see what the futures hold for Kalen DeBoer in Alabama with that quarterback there. Which brings us to 7:30, Reid. The day is still not over. And this game's going to get a lot more coverage because this is ESPN's, I believe, ESPN College Game Days game of the week. And that is the Tennessee at Georgia matchup. There's not much to say here, folks. I mean, Georgia leads the series, 7 straight wins since 2016. Georgia's facing an elimination game from playoff contention after a 28-10 loss to Ole Miss. They need a strong showing to re-enter into that college football mix. And Tennessee, the win could solidify their path to their first ever college football playoff appearance. So both of these teams need to win, and I will be rooting for the Volunteers every step of the way. Reid, are you going to be rooting for Tennessee too, or are you going to be a Bulldog?
I'm typically rooting for Tennessee anytime a game is on, to be completely honest. It's a dirty secret of mine. I like to root for the Volunteers. The only reason I'm saying Georgia is just to play those.
Georgia.
And that's it.
I never need an excuse to have Ray just bless our ears.
I am curious with Georgia. I am curious to see how this game goes for them. They need this win. I fully believe they need this win over Tennessee. Both teams need this win. But Georgia right now, I don't want to say it's unfair where their ranking is right now. They lost to Ole Miss last week, and that really punched them down. Their previous loss before this was to Alabama. Those aren't, if you're looking at it, terrible losses.
Don't say
right? Like,
loss, please.
It's not. It's.
I hate that term.
I don't know if Ole Miss is a quality loss. Alabama was a quality loss. The Alabama loss is a quality loss. Even if you can make the argument that they had a huge lead there at halftime, that's where it falls. That's where it falls apart on them. But it seems like they might be getting judged a little harsher than some of the other programs.
I just don't have faith in Carson Beck, man, who looks like the even mix of Beavis and Butthead together. Yeah. The mashup child. I just don't have faith in him. But like I said, Reid, I don't want to give this game any more hype than it already has. You got ESPN covering it. Fuck them. Let's get into what the folks came here for.
Yeah.
The game of the week.
Yeah.
That's right. College Shame Days game of the week. And this one's going to be a little bit of a curveball, Reid, because I am a Florida State fan through and through. I don't think anyone here is surprised by me saying that. So I'm very interested to see how the ACC is going to be shaping up. So this is going to be an ACC showdown of Clemson traveling to Pitt. That's right. Number 17 Clemson, who are 7-2, 6-1 in the ACC, traveling to face off against Pittsburgh, who are 7-2 and 3-2 in the ACC. Both of these teams at this point could conceivably give Miami also a run for their money. I know we talked about SMU kind of in length there for a second, but I mean, you still have these two teams vying for an ACC championship berth. Pitt does lead the series 3-2. The odds that Clemson are favored by 10 points, but one of these teams need to win. And I don't want to say I'm rooting for Clemson, but all signs are pointing Clemson is finally catching their stride. When everyone had so many doubts against Dabo, is he going to get out of there? Is this just the writing on the wall for him in college football to begin with? But it's going to be a fun one, folks, especially when the matchup, we always talk about quarterbacks against defenses and running backs against defenses. We talked about Ashton Genty a couple weeks ago, but I want to give the big boys some love real quick, Reid. Pitt's offensive line versus Clemson's defensive front. I mean, Pitt's line has struggled to protect quarterback Eli Holstein, who's left the last 2 weeks games after a head injury. And Clemson's pass rush, even though not as dominant as in the years past, they could exploit Pitt's very suspect offensive line. And hopefully Eli is not hurt again.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be too much of a test for Clemson, to be completely honest. And I'm like you. Well, I don't know if it's enjoying, but I'm kind of invested in seeing this Clemson return against all of our expectations for this season and for Dabo. Like I was with you. Like to be honest, it was more towards the end of last season. Once Saban retired, I kind of halfway expected to see Dabo leave Clemson to go to Bama.
Right.
I was expecting some type of change up to happen this season, something to fall apart, but I'll give credit where credit's due. Like, Dabo's got this team, back into where it needs to be, and that's more of an indicative factor, I think, on him as a head coach and a leader of a college program.
You and that damn program. And this is going to be the first time they've met since 2021 when they faced off against each other in the ACC championship game where Clemson defeated Pitt 27-17. And that offensive line, I mean, the Pitt's offensive struggles right now. They're averaging just 350 yards per game in ACC play, which ranks about 13th, which is bottom of the barrel, compared to non-conference games where they've been averaging about 520 yards. So hopefully they can get things right. And the defense needs to show up. I mean, I know they rank 5th nationally in sacks per game with just over 3 per outing. So you need to slow down Cade Klubnik, quarterback there in Clemson. He's struggling recently, completing just 54% of his passes in November. He had a season high of 4 sacks last week. He'll be still facing that heavy pressure against Pittsburgh defense that anchored by linebacker Kyle Lewis, leads the team with 4 picks, 5th in the nation, and 5 sacks. I feel like just his playmaking ability alone is going to be crucial as Pitt looks to disrupt that Clemson offense. But, Reid, let's just move past this. Lame of the week. Florida Atlantic at Temple. Who?
Ugh.
Who? I say that because both teams' mascots are owls, and owls are supposed to symbolize wisdom, but it would be wise not to watch this game, Reid. It would be wise not to watch that game. But you know what? Thank you. You know what? I appreciate that. But one thing that is wise to watch, Reid, and it's been a long time coming. The Wheel of Degenerate.
Yeah.
It is back after 2-week hiatus. I have been placing side bets on this, and of course, folks, we are consistent here at the 323 Network with everything that we do, and I have been consistently losing. So maybe with this being the first week back in 3 weeks, Reid, maybe this is what we needed. Maybe we needed a little bit of a hiatus. Maybe we needed to kind of let the coals cool a little bit, get some of these teams in here where the matchups are super, super juicy, and try to win these folks some money. Up first on the slate of games this week, like we mentioned before, number 2 Ohio State at Northwestern. And Reid, real quick before we move forward, have you seen the pictures from Wrigley Field for this game?
No, I have not.
You need to, I suggest everybody listening at home, Reid right now, go on to Google, do a quick image search of the setup for this week's matchup of Ohio State and Northwestern, because it looks amazing. And I'm very scared for any wide receiver traveling into the end zone because they got a wall right there.
That looks awesome. Go to the 323 Network on YouTube, folks. We will get it for you right there.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And moving forward, like we mentioned earlier, Texas at Arkansas. We got Utah at Colorado, Clemson and Pittsburgh in the College Shame Day game of the week. Tulane at Navy, Mercer at Alabama. Upset alert. Calling it now. Penn State at Purdue, Virginia at Notre Dame, Boston College at SMU, Louisville at Stanford, LSU at Florida, Missouri at South Carolina, Boise State at San Jose State, Arizona State at Kansas State, Oregon at Wisconsin, Tennessee at Georgia, New Mexico State at Texas A&M, Washington State at New Mexico, and Reid's game of the week, Kansas at BYU. And if you are keeping track at home, we did not say Florida State because thankfully we have a bye week this week, and I couldn't be more excited. Let's spin the wheel.
Can you all lose the bye week?
We probably will. We probably will lose the bye week. Oh, first up. Oh, man. See, my heart's going to be torn here because two of my brothers, one's a UVA fan, the other one's a Notre Dame fan, and they'll be facing off this week, and that is the first game up on the College Shame Day Wheel of Degenerate betting slip.
Shout out UVA.
Right? Oh, no. We just talked about them. I guess the Faithfuls really want us to lose some money because the second game on the betting slip is Ohio State at Northwestern. And reminder, folks, I will not give you my picks for the games that this beautiful, beautiful wheel lands on because the only place you can find that is the official College Shame Day Instagram page at 323 College Shame Day. And Reid, I think this is becoming a common thread because I feel like every betting slip we've done for the Wheel of Degenerate has featured the Shame Day game of the week. And it happened again with Clemson at Pittsburgh. God damn it.
And we're not budging it. We're not budging it. It just happens.
No, I just click that button and it just spins all by itself. It's kind of like how Michigan started showing up on there since we started talking shit about Jay Portnoy.
Oh,
oh, what a yucky game. Washington State at New Mexico. I mean, who thought that Washington State in the Pac-2 would be ranked 18th right now?
Good for them, though.
Not me.
I did.
And the fifth and final game on the Wheel of Degenerate betting slip is Oregon at Washington. Folks, I think you all at home can figure out who we're probably going to be picking on that. I guess it all comes down to the spread and if they're going to be able to cover it. But just to remind everybody from top to bottom, the beginning of your day to end your day, starting off at Ohio State at Northwestern, playing at Wrigley Field. Then live from Pitt, Clemson at Pittsburgh, UVA traveling to Notre Dame. I believe that game actually, Reid, are they playing in Notre Dame this week? I feel like they're on the road somewhere crazy again. Nope. They're at Notre Dame. I'm just crazy. I've lost my mind. And then Oregon at Wisconsin and Washington State at New Mexico. Reid, before we let these folks go off and enjoy the rest of their Saturday and not listen to me rambling on, you had a little bit of a homework assignment there you had to do. Did you finish it or do you get an F?
I did finish it, and a little more famous alumni, a little more notable. I'm going to say notable alumni than I expected.
Really?
We have Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes went there. He is the head coach. He's the head basketball coach at the University of Tennessee. So, yeah, him. Perry Fuel, who he's a football coach, but he's currently the senior vice president of officiating administration for the NFL's officiating department. Okay. And according to Wikipedia, it also says, and is incredibly soft. So somebody got to editing over there.
Interesting.
And then Kyle Duggar, safety.
What'd you call me?
For the New England Patriots. And finally, comedian Tom Segura.
Wow.
So, yeah, Tom Segura went there.
Wow. I didn't know you need a college degree to be a comedian.
Apparently.
Oh, they have a whole Hall of Fame page on here on their actual website.
Oh, wow. Good for them.
I'm going to have to take a deep dive into that. I'm going to take a deep dive into this, Reid. I'm going to let these folks go off and take a deep dive into their Saturday afternoon with this fantastic, wonderful, delicious crock pot of a meal on this gorgeous autumn day that is college football. Reid, thank you so much for joining us again, as always. If you haven't already listened, wait, Bricks vs. Grix isn't out yet. No, it is out already. It is out. If you haven't checked that out, please make sure to go over there. That show was very interesting because one of us decided to not want to participate halfway through the show, and the other one had to take the reins.
And you had a wildly depressed Luis Martinez cameo. Somebody screaming, either children screaming from a house or somebody screaming at a tattoo parlor. We'll never know. And of course, Brian V. Klein. of the Source
Love
Space
BVK.
podcast. We love BVK over there.
Always love BVK, even though it was just a sad Ricks versus Gricks because we all were just in shambles. Oh, and Reid, I'm sorry. I haven't said sorry to you yet for your Thursday night football game.
Oh, I had good pizza.
We'll save it for the hangover.
Yeah,
we'll save it for the hangover. Oh, but folks, again, thank you so much for listening and tuning in this wonderful Saturday. Oh, and please don't miss out with our monthly giveaway that is still going on for a chance to win $25 Fanatics gift card. Grab your own brand new game day gear. All you got to do is follow the College Shame Day at Instagram at 323 College Shame Day for your chance to win. Extra entries by liking, commenting, and sharing our post. And until next time, folks, embrace the shame. And I guess have a good day.
If you want.
If you want.
If you want.
I'm not your dad.
We don't tell you.
I don't care.
Stay
you know
safe. And get part of the program.
Get Ben.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.